Welcome to The Author Show, where we feature new authors and books, from fiction to self-help and everything in between. You'll find it all at theauthorshow.com. That's theauthorshow.com. And now let the show begin.
Hi, this is The Author Show, and I'm your host, Linda Thompson. Our book is Along Came a Soulmate, the true memoir of Armenia Jess, and it tells her story of poverty, survival, faith, hope, grit, and pure love. Armenia joins us from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, to share her remarkable story. Armenia, welcome to The Author Show.
Assalam, Linda. Thank you very much for having me in your show.
Armenia, will you please give us a quick overview of Along Came a Soulmate?
Sure, Linda. Along Came a Soulmate Part 1 is the first part of a three-book sequel. The book is a true memoir of Armenia Jess, and it tells us the story of poverty, survival, persistence, and unconditional love. Armenia was born in a tiny village in Southern Mindanao in the Philippines. Her father passed away when she was only 12 years old, and her youngest brother, who was only 9 years old, became the breadwinner for the family. Her youngest brother supported Armenia's education through college. Then later on, she met her husband, who significantly changed her life and the life of her family. Her husband also gave Armenia an opportunity to travel the world.
Oh my gosh, that sounds really interesting. So I want to know, what was the incentive for you to publish your story?
I had been very blessed with a lovely husband, Linda, who loved me unconditionally. He believed in my abilities and he truly loved my writing. So this book is dedicated to him and to my son as well and my parents.
You mentioned you were from the Philippines. When did you leave the country of your birth?
I left the Philippines I started traveling when I was 18. That's when I met my husband and we started traveling outside of the Philippines, mainly in the Southeast Asia, because I was waiting to get my US passport. And then we traveled to some countries like Australia and New Zealand as well before I moved to the USA.
How did you meet your husband? Where was he from?
My husband was from the USA and we met in a very untraditional way. And the readers will find out this in my book.
Armenia, were you thinking of any particular type of reader while you were writing Along Came a Soulmate?
Yes, Linda. A big part of the content of this book is about Armenia's life's experiences in Southern Mindanao in the Philippines before she made it to the USA. Her story also started about 35 years ago, before the internet and the social media became very popular. The book is very vivid because Armenia had a photography memory when she was a child. And this book had many short stories that I believe readers from age 12 and above can truly appreciate.
Armenia, in my introduction, I said you were calling from Saudi Arabia. What took you there?
I've been working here since 2006. Actually, in the beginning, my husband took me here just for me to experience the culture of the Middle East. And fortunately, when I got here, I felt that this is the place for me to work. I just felt really comfortable and settled. And I saw a lot of opportunities for me to job-wise and also to develop myself. And that's why we are still, until now, this is my 14th year here in Saudi Arabia.
Well, I'm sure I'm not the only one that has heard some rather horror stories about how women are treated in the Middle East. Did you have any of those experiences?
I would like to clarify that to the readers because yes, when I first got here, I thought that women are treated differently from the men and that we are extremely restricted and that we don't get that freedom. But when I arrived here in 2006, I realized that women here in Saudi Arabia are actually very pampered. We are given a lot of opportunities to develop ourselves, and at work, our colleagues, I feel that we women are very well respected by their male colleagues. We also now have equal opportunities at work. So you will find women here handling leadership position, and they're very, very good at their job.
Very interesting. So now let's go back to your childhood. How many siblings were there in your family, and are they all okay now?
There are 6 of us in the family, and I have 5 siblings. I have 4 brothers and 1 sister. And yes, they are all doing very well.
Is Along Came a Soulmate similar to anything else we might have read?
No, this is a very unique story, Linda. So this is a story of a girl from a tiny village who had the chance to travel the world, who was given the opportunity to travel the world.
Well, now that you've written your first book, are there plans to write a second?
Yes. So this book, Along Came a Soulmate Part 1, is the first part of the sequel. I'm working on the second and the third parts of the book.
And what time period or time frame does the first book cover, and then what time frame does the second book cover?
The first book covers Armenia's childhood since she was 4 years old until she made it to the USA. So that was starting at 1985 until 2005. And then 2005 and onwards would be the second part of the book. And then the third one would start in 2018 until 2020.
When we were talking before we started this interview, you mentioned that you and your husband had traveled pretty much all over the world. How many countries have you visited, and why did you settle on Saudi Arabia?
I've been to almost 60 countries altogether. In some of these countries, we visited a lot, like Switzerland. I visited Switzerland about 30 times, probably. And when I arrived here in Saudi Arabia in 2006, I just had that feeling that, this is home for me. Like, I felt everything was comfortable. And like I've said, I was surprised that they actually treat our women here very respectfully. It's like the people are very family oriented, that you can actually feel them caring for each other. So I think this is the part that I couldn't find in other countries. Initially, my husband and I, we tried to settle down in New Zealand. It didn't work. And we also live in various countries. I've lived in China for almost a year. I had lived in Bangkok for a year. So, but Saudi Arabia is different. Maybe I was destined to live here.
How long were you in the United States?
We still like use as our base. We go home frequently every year. So we still use that as our base until like last year when my husband had passed away. This year, a few months ago.
We're talking during the time of the coronavirus and COVID-19 and all of the shutdowns and everything. Is it any different over there? What's your life like now? Are you shut in and required to stay home?
I think there is a big difference. As I had mentioned a while ago, my husband got sick. He got very sick in February, and he passed away in March, 2 weeks before I gave birth to our son. And my son and I, we had to quarantine in a hotel for a long time. My husband's family, they were very, very supportive. Then they are still very supportive. But we also had to quarantine because of their age as well, and because I have a baby. But when I got back here, I felt more comfortable in here than when I was in the USA. Maybe because my company provided us with a lot of support. They arranged for our travel. They repatriated us actually from the USA to here. They arranged for our flights. They are checking on us every week. And we were picked up from the airport, and when I flew from the US to Dubai, we were given assistance on everything. Even our luggage, they sent somebody to help us collect our luggage at the airport. And here, because we have our own hospital that is designated for the employees only. So, and it's only like a few minutes away from our house here. So I feel a lot safer here, especially during this pandemic. We don't have to go out. I just, get my phone and order whatever I need. And the people here are very, very supportive to each other. And in the US, I have my husband's family there, but they did their best. But still, I feel that in here you get a lot because, as I have mentioned, I feel that the people here are more family oriented.
Armenia, what has been the most rewarding experience for you since publishing your book? I know you can't get out and market it, so what has been the greatest experience so far?
The two things I believe, my husband always wanted me to earn my MBA, and I completed that in 2017. I got very lucky that the company sponsored my education and sent me to the best business school. I went to Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, which at that time was ranked number 15 in the world for business school. Then of course, our son, which is our dream come true. I think the biggest accomplishment really is having my son. The third one is, I think, the book, because my husband always wanted me to write a book. My husband believed in my abilities. He was a big fan of me and he always encouraged me to write. I think I had mentioned that many years ago, he gave me a copy of Frank McCourt's book, Angela's Ashes. And we also watched the movie adaptation of that book. And after that, he took me to Ireland in Limerick to visit Frank McCourt's childhood home. He did a lot to encourage me to write. And I started writing this book, Alinda, many years ago. I tried, but I couldn't get myself to finish it. But last year, in 2019, my husband had a near-death experience. He contracted a bacterial infection, and the doctor the doctor here in Saudi Arabia told me that he was not going to survive. But fortunately, he survived that time. And while I was in the hospital, I was able also to confirm that I was successfully pregnant with our son. So after that, though, I really pushed myself to finish the book. I wrote that book, a lot of that, about 80% of that book, I wrote that in August 2019. I finished that before the end of 2019. And so it was published by January 2020.
Your husband sounds like a really remarkable man. You were very fortunate to have him in the time that you did. So, are there a lot of your memories about him included in your book?
This is because I got a few reactions from the readers that they expected more romance in my book, but I think they were disappointed. My husband was an action man, and he demonstrated his unconditional love for me by accepting me, my family, and my culture fully. And he really put me above everything and everyone, including himself. So I was above of everyone. He always prioritized me. So you are right. I am very blessed to have him as a husband.
Yeah, we all could be lucky enough to get someone like that. So, is there a message in Along Came a Soulmate that you would like readers to remember?
Yes. The takeaway from this book, Linda, is that being born in poverty is not our choice. Breaking the cycle of poverty is a very difficult thing to do based on my experience. And sometimes it is almost impossible to do. However, I believe we do have a choice to either try to get out from it or to try to embrace it and remain with it. Our many story can tell us that persistence is the key to success. We need to make it a goal to get out of poverty, and we need to reinforce that goal with hard work and sacrifices. Most importantly, we need to stick to that goal and to continue to pursue it no matter how long it takes us to achieve it. So I think that is the takeaway from this book.
That is a phenomenal message. And so now I would like to ask, will you read a short excerpt from Along Came a Soulmate?
Yeah, of course. The excerpt that I am going to read, Linda, is from chapter 37 of my book. This is my favorite chapter because it talks about Armenia and Daniel's first trip together outside of the Philippines. The first destination was Malaysia. Armenia was only 18 years old when she started traveling with Daniel, and you can just imagine how exciting that first trip was for her. So here is the excerpt from chapter 37. From the Cameroon Highlands, Daniel took me to Malacca for culture and history. In Malacca, we did a lot of things and I enjoyed all of them. But the most memorable part of the trip for me was a surprise evening trip to see the fireflies. A longboat picked us up from Malacca straight along the Junker Street where we enjoyed the scenic view of the Malacca Strait and the sunset. Finally, the boat took us to a forest where we saw millions of fireflies. The view was unbelievably spectacular and beautiful. I held 3 fireflies in my hand and I whispered to them, "Please send my love to Papa and tell God and all the angels to protect me, Daniel, and my family." When I released the 3 fireflies, they flew very high up in the sky before they disappeared. Then all I could see were the stars in the sky. Yes, the sky was full of stars that night, as if there were millions of fireflies resting on it. I glanced at Daniel, and although it was dark, I could tell that he was also enjoying watching the fireflies. I saw a few fireflies sitting on his ears and hair. I picked one of them and gave it to him. I asked him to make a wish and to whisper his wish to the firefly before releasing it. He did so, but he did not and would not tell me what he had wished for. That is the end of the excerpt, Linda, from chapter 37.
I love that, and I love the way you ended it. So now I want to know, Armenia, where can we learn more about you, and where can we purchase Along Came a Soulmate?
Thank you for that question, Linda. For more information about my book, Along Came the Soulmate, and about me as an author, and how to purchase the book, I would like to invite everyone to visit my book website at armeniajessbook.com. The book is also available in all online retailers worldwide and in some physical bookstores in Southeast Asia like Singapore, Malaysia, and the Philippines. Currently, the book is available in ebook, in hardbound, and paperback formats.
And will you spell your website for us?
It's Armenia, ARMENI, Jess, JESS, book, BOOK.com. ArmeniaJessBook.com.
Thank you. We've been talking with Armenia Jess, author of Along Came a Soulmate. Armenia, I've read part of your book, and I just know a lot of our audience will be as taken with your story as I am. Thank you so much for spending time with us. And when you publish your next book, will you please come back and chat with us again?
Of course, and thank you very much, Linda, for having me on your show. I really appreciate it, and you have a nice day.
In this poignant memoir, travel with author Armenia Jess as she recounts her journey through struggles and success. Her book follows Armenia and her family's bittersweet life experiences in the Philippines before she made it to the U.S. And when life had hit a new low, she unexpectedly met the man who loves her unconditionally and showed her the world. If you are as intrigued by her story as I am, please go to armeniajessbook.com and order your copy today. And when you finish reading, don't forget to post a review. And please share this interview with your friends so that they too may become acquainted with our author. And remember, the Author Show may be accessed at any time at theauthorshow.com. Plus, selected interviews can also be found on major platforms such as iHeartRadio, Amazon Fire TV, the Roku channel, Spotify, Google Play, and many more. Whether you're an author who would like to be featured or a reader in search of new books, theauthorshow.com is a really great place to start.
Thanks for listening to The Author Show. Find out more about authors and their work at theauthorshow.com. Theauthorshow.com. Tune in next time to another great author on The Author Show.